The next veggie forward dish I'm making is curry pumpkin soup, and it uses a little bit of an unconventional ingredient. More on that in a minute. I'm gonna start on the soup now, and I've got some olive oil in a pot, so I'm gonna add onions, always a good start, and garlic, always a good start, another good start, and incredible flavor, fresh minced ginger. Love, love fresh ginger. Okay, so I'm gonna sprinkle in a good amount of curry powder. You can basically use whatever curry powder, curry mix that you like. This is just kind of good basic curry powder sold in American supermarkets. All right, now I'm gonna stir this around and add some salt. And then I want these onions to start cooking and the curry powder to sort of wake up. So I'm gonna let this cook for about 2 minutes. I'm gonna stir the whole entire time. Okay, the onions have been cooking. So I'm gonna add the pumpkin to the pumpkin soup. I am using canned pureed pumpkin. But listen, this is nothing but pureed pumpkin. It is not pumpkin pie filling. It's not sweetened. It doesn't have any spices or sugar or anything in it. It's just good old pumpkin. And I am telling you, my mother-in-law, Nan, and I did an experiment one year where we actually roasted fresh pumpkins and then took out the filling and pureed it and used it for pumpkin pie. And we actually preferred the canned pumpkin better. All right, I'm just letting the pumpkin mix with the onions, and then I'm gonna add a whole bunch of veggie broth. What I love about this soup is that if you have canned pumpkin in your pantry, you can basically whip it up anytime. And then I want to add some creaminess, so I'm using coconut milk. I shook it up really well before I opened the can because coconut milk in the can really separates. So you need to just sit there and get your exercise and mix it up. Spoonful of brown sugar. Goodness. And then just a little bit of cinnamon, not too much. That doesn't make it taste like a dessert or a baked good. It just adds a tiny bit of interest and toastiness, I guess, to the soup. All right, look at this, Alex. Do you want to take a little closer look? And the cool thing is the pumpkin is already totally pureed, so you get this velvety, creamy soup. Okay, I'm gonna bring this to a boil and cook it for just a few minutes, and that's gonna give me time to make a really delicious topping for the soup. I love toppings. I can't just serve up soup and call it good. I have to have little sprinkles to put on top of it. It's just roasted pumpkin seeds, chopped cilantro, chopped parsley, some olive oil, a pinch of turmeric, salt, all mixed together. Ooh, look at this. Now you don't have to add the olive oil. You can keep it all dry if you want to, but I love kind of coating them, and it's kind of this delicious kind of glistening topping on top of the soup. All right, so I'm just gonna let this soup heat up, and then I'm gonna serve it up, and then I'm gonna eat it up. Gobble it up is more like it. Okay, soup's on. This is a gorgeous soup. All right, it's very, very thick too, which I love. But you can thin it if you want a slightly thinner texture. You can just add more vegetable broth until it gets to the consistency that you like. Yum! And the topping. And it's kind of elegant. It could be like a first course if you're having a fancy dinner party, or it can just be lunch. Curry pumpkin soup, so easy, takes no time at all, and man, is it scrumptious and hot.
Aunt TC isn't feeling well. You know, that's not like her. She's usually on the go. She's usually like, doing everything for everyone. But who is there to take care of Aunt TC? I am. I am gonna make sure she feels all better. And what better way to make you feel better than soup? So I'm gonna make Auntie C one of her favorites, chicken and dumplings. Now, normally you think about like chicken noodle soup or one of those things. Auntie C's from the South. She needs something with a little substance, you know? I've already chopped up some parsnips. I have some broccoli here that I've cleaned, and I'm gonna finish chopping this carrot. My mom always made chicken and dumplings for me when I was sick, when I was growing up, and I find that it's like still my go-to when I don't feel well. And not to mention, it's flavorful. You know, even when your senses are all messed up and you can't really taste your food, you're gonna taste this. So I have a sheet tray here that I've lined with parchment paper. I have some broccoli florets that I'm just gonna chop in half. Auntie C's the person that's gonna show up to your doorstep when you're not feeling well. So I am very happy that I can do that for her. I remember when my grandmother was in a little slight accident, and my Auntie C was the first person to go run to her rescue. She brought her food when she was healing. She brought a little liquor too. So all of my veggies are all diced up. I'm just gonna hit it with a little olive oil, a little salt, and freshly cracked black pepper. Give it a toss. All right, so I've seasoned my veggies. I'm gonna also season some chicken thighs I have here. Again, I just want a lot of flavor, and so instead of using chicken breast, I'm using chicken thighs. But if you have breasts available at home, you can use that too. Olive oil, salt and pepper. Massage it in there. And before I put these veggies in the oven, I'm gonna wash my hands. I'm gonna let that roast at 400 for 15 minutes. And while that's roasting, I am going to sear off my chicken. So I have some unsalted butter. I'm gonna also add a little canola oil. A little extra fat wouldn't hurt anybody. I'm gonna sear this on both sides, and that's gonna create some flavor at the bottom of this pan, you know? Building layers of what? Flavor. All right. So I'm gonna sear this on one side until it's golden brown, then flip it over and let it sear on the other side. It's been cooking for about 5 minutes now, so I'm gonna give it a flip. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. Nice and golden brown. I wanna take it out of the pot once that other side is golden brown. Then I'm gonna cook more veggies. I have some celery, some onion, and garlic. I'm gonna sweat that out. I'm gonna add some biscuits. Now that's my mom's trick. Well, okay, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I'll tell you when we get to that part, okay? They've browned on this side. I'm gonna take my boneless chicken thighs out. And look how beautiful this chicken is. Beautiful, juicy chicken thighs. So to this pot, I'm gonna add some celery that I've diced, white onion, some garlic, and a little bit more salt, some pepper. I'm gonna let that sweat release some of that moisture in the onions and the carrots, and then I'm gonna add in the rest of my ingredients. You don't have to wait to eat chicken and dumplings when you're sick. I like making it on Sundays and kind of just eating on it throughout the week, you know? It's a really big pot of just really great food, so you can eat it for lunch, you can eat it for dinner. So I'm gonna add this chicken bouillon paste that I really, really love instead of using broth or stock because it just has a really big punch of chicken flavor. It smells so good. It smells like my childhood. That's what it smells like. Nothing like some chicken and dumplings. All right, so I'm gonna add about 2 tablespoons of flour to help thicken this soup up. Give it a mix. And then I'll add 6 cups of water. I'm gonna return the chicken to the pot. I'm gonna let that cook for about 30 more minutes covered. And when that's done, I'm gonna take the chicken out, shred it up, add my roasted veggies, biscuits, and cream. I'm smelling all of those like natural sugars and the parsnip and the carrots, and they are beautiful. This is just right. So let's check on this chicken. Oh, I'm like sensory overload. The smells is coming from this pot, from the roasted chicken. My goodness. I think I'm sick too. I want to take my chicken thighs out and shred it. So what I like to do is just shred the chicken now. And if you don't want to fuss with shredding the chicken, you can always dice the chicken thighs before you add it to the pot and just don't worry about it. But I kind of like the shreds of chicken, you know, because I feel like you can get chicken with every bite. So I'm going to add the chicken back to the broth. I'm going to also add my roasted veggies. I know Auntie C is going to love this. All I need to add is the cream and the biscuits. I have a half a cup of heavy cream. So this is a hack my mom used to do. So instead of making dumplings from scratch, my mom would always use frozen or canned biscuits instead. Much easier, and these go right in the pot and frozen. And I make this for my fiance, Brian, all the time. And I know when Brian has been in my pot because there will be an entire pot of broth and no biscuits. He eats all the biscuits out of the chicken and dumplings. All right, so I'm gonna cover this and let everything cook for about 15 more minutes. The dumplings are gonna soften up, the veggies are gonna soften up, and it's gonna be good to go. Let's give this chicken and dumpling a taste. Gosh, Auntie C is gonna love this. I hope it makes her feel better. Sure enough, makes me feel better. Man, that's good. You know, just when you're sick, you just want a meal. You don't want anything too fancy. You just want something that it just feels like a warm hug. This entire meal feels like a warm hug. Oh, Auntie C, even though I can't hug you because you're sick, hopefully this meal will do that for you.
I am making my sausage, squash, bean, and chard soup, which is so comforting and hearty. It is sure to satisfy all the farmers and their spouses to the core. And it's all built in one pot. I'm starting with a pound of spicy Italian sausage, which is such a great shortcut to more flavor. So I'll brown this sausage over medium-high heat as I break it up with a spoon. Oh, it smells so good already. I'm smelling the fennel. There's a lot of red pepper in this sausage. I like an extra spicy Italian sausage. All right, I'm ready for my veggies. I have chopped yellow onions, celery, and butternut squash. I'll toss these all in. I'll add a good couple of pinches of salt to draw the moisture out of these veggies and help them soften quicker. I'll stir these around, bathe these veggies in the sausage fat, and allow them to soften for about 5 to 8 minutes. As the veggies finish up softening, I'll toss in some fresh rosemary, some garlic, and a couple of bay leaves to infuse the soup with herbiness. So whenever I add garlic to a soup like this, I have my liquids standing by to add as soon as the garlic starts smelling good, because then when you add the liquids, it kind of stops that cooking of the garlic. I'll pour in a can of whole peeled tomatoes and then break them up with my spoon. And then some beans, a can of chickpeas, and a can of cannellini beans that have been rinsed and drained. They add such great creaminess. And now I'll bring it together with a quart of low sodium chicken stock. And I'm using low sodium just to make sure that I'm not over salting it. And 6 cups of water. That's a full pot. I'll stir this around and bring it to a boil, and then reduce to a simmer and allow this to cook for about 25 minutes until the squash is tender. I'm ready to be cozy. My soup is almost done simmering. I'm gonna finish it up with a pile of Swiss chard because the bitterness is a nice bright moment in an otherwise very hearty soup. I'm just removing the stems. They're a little bit too tough. I'll feed them to the chickens. And then I'll roll up these leaves and chop them into pretty skinny ribbons that'll be easy to eat when you're spooning up the soup. All the warm colors in this soup between the squash and the tomatoes and the sausage. They need something green, my favorite color. Okay, and I'll pile this in. I like this kind of balance. A little bit of sausage, a lot of greens. It's cooking down already. Yum. Okay, I'll season with a little more salt and some black pepper. Okay, looks gorgeous to me. Now this absolutely needs sourdough for dunking. And I happen to have some toasting in my oven right now. I'll ladle up a bowl. I'll pile it high so that the good stuff peeks out. I'll finish with a tiny drizzle of olive oil, some black pepper. The bread is basically the spoon in this scenario. A spoon that can also soak up soup. That is one cozy soup.
My roasted sweet potato soup with a penny-pinching powerhouse ingredient, ham hocks. So I'm actually just gonna take 2 smaller ham hocks, and we're just gonna make a little ham hock stock while we're getting our soup ready.
Hock stock. Hock stock.
So a couple of cups of chicken broth and actually a little bit of water. Part of saving money is using less of things that cost money in the first place. So I mix half water with double the amount of chicken stock, and I just put 2 smaller ham hocks, and that equals about a pound. And I'm just gonna get that simmering on the stove. We wanna cook down that liquid until the meat falls apart and flakes off the bone. So you just get that simmering. So once the ham hocks, chicken stock, and water are simmering on the stove, we wanna really just cook that down until you're left with only about a cup of liquid, and you just flake the meat from the hocks right off the bone. And then you have your little stock, but we're actually not gonna add that until the end. The actual soup is just baked sweet potatoes, right? So while you're making your ham hock stock, you can also just be roasting some sweet potatoes in the oven. Yeah, I know.
It's the best.
I know.
Also, like ham hocks you buy, they're pre-cooked.
Totally.
Throw them in the freezer.
Smoked.
They're so great. They add anything. You know, traditionally for pea soup, right? Ham hocks and pea soup.
That's actually what inspired me. Was I was thinking, I just love split pea, and ham and sweet potatoes, just a great combo. So just peel the sweet potatoes, right? I don't even need to break them up that much. I use about 2 pounds of sweet potatoes, 6 or 7 medium to large potatoes will get you there. And then coconut milk.
Oh, my favorite.
What?
1.5
In the
cups.
heavens is going on over there, Miss Alex Guarnaschelli?
And then more money saving, my favorite ingredient, water.
Tap stock.
Absolutely. About the same amount of water. So half coconut milk, half water. And the coconut milk, it gives a lot of richness, but it also brings out, teases that natural sweetness and earthiness of the sweet potatoes. So we kind of have a 2-part soup here. Sweet potatoes, coconut milk, and water, and then our little ham hock stock that goes in at the last moment. It's kind of like a trio that comes together to make a beautiful song at the last minute. We have our little sweet potato coconut milk mix. We have our simmering little bits of ham hock flaked off the bone, and that makes this soup meaty. I mean, for me, that's what takes it over from a soup into a stew or a meal or that really satisfying taste. Of course, in honor of Jeffrey, I had to add a little bit of brown butter to this.
Of course.
I just felt it was critically important.
Wow.
So I made a little brown butter, just a few tablespoons, right? And to that, I'm gonna add just a tiny bit, half a teaspoon of cinnamon. We don't wanna overdo this with spices. It's really got a lot going on already. Touch of brown sugar, and then just some orange zest and juice. Just 1 orange, zested and juiced. And that kind of gives it that warm winter, fall kind of feeling.
Oh,
Stir that together. Okay, so we have our soup.
I can't wait to try this.
These are the sweet potatoes, right? And after the sweet potatoes and the coconut milk get nice and hot, you literally just puree them. I like to use a blender. You need that really smooth texture, really break up the sweet potatoes. If you use an immersion blender, I'll never know, and it'll be perfectly fine anyway.
There you go.
Yeah, they're okay.
Whisk the brown butter, get it almost liquidy with that orange juice, brown sugar, and just a hint of cinnamon. We don't want to add a ton of spices here, right? We're not going in pumpkin spice latte territory. We're really trying to stay focused on the starch sweetness of the sweet potatoes, and then that ham just blows into town like a sheriff in a Western. So here we go, right in there. Ham hocks, that stock. It's also a last minute thing that thins your soup out. If your soup's a little bit thick, sweet potato soup can get away from you a little bit. It can be kind of clunky and starchy. Tiny pinch of salt and pepper if it needs it at the end. There are a lot of flavors here. You don't need to do a ton of seasoning to get to the end. So here we are.
Man.
And you're really on a treasure hunt for those bits of ham hock, right?
Yep.
Oh, I love sweet potato soup, and then everybody wants all that meaty ham hock in there.
Delicious on 10.
I like to crack pepper on top and not even mix it in entirely. So when you ladle the soup in, there's a little bit of pepper floating on top. I mean, we could add herbs, scallions, things like that, but I kind of like it straight up just like this. Okay, taste. The real sleeper here is that there's no cream, there's no milk, there's nothing to dilute the sweet potato. The coconut milk is just kind of sweet and rich. And then you get that smoky ham kind of meandering through. Feels like a kind of like a classic vegetable soup. And then the ham and the stock.
I think you know by now that I love food. I love all kinds of food. And when I cook, sometimes I tend to get bored. And I like to reach for slightly unusual ingredients that I don't necessarily use when I cook very often. And I like to use those ingredients in unusual combinations. So enter beer cheese soup. Wow, beer is the star of the show in this soup, and it makes the cheese soup so phenomenal. So I just took some diced kielbasa out of the Dutch oven. I've been browning it, and it looks and smells delicious, and it's gonna be sort of the flavor foundation for the rest of the soup. So I'm adding some diced onion and a bunch of minced garlic. And I'll stir the veggies around just until they start to soften. You know, beer and cheese is not necessarily a revolutionary idea. There's beer and cheese fondue, and beer cheese soup totally exists. It's just not something that I tend to have in my cooking repertoire. First of all, I don't drink beer, so I don't have it in the fridge at all, usually. Lad's not a big beer drinker either, so it's just one of those things that every time I do cook with beer, I just think, why don't I do this more often? It's so tasty. And just like that, the onions and the garlic are nice and golden, and the onions are soft. So I will sprinkle in some flour, and that's gonna help thicken this beer cheese soup. And this pot is so hot that I'm gonna stir the flour into the onions, and I won't have to cook the flour for very long. The pot has nice dark brown bits from where I browned the kielbasa. And the kielbasa is actually to sprinkle on top of the soup. It's not gonna go in it. I kind of like leaving the soup just pure and holy, and then you can really taste the beer and cheese combination. All right, this soup moves pretty darn fast. It is already time to add the beer. And you can grab whatever beer you have in your fridge, just regular old beer. This is a lager. You could do any sort of dark or light or amber beer that you like. All right, so I'm pouring the whole bottle in, and I'm stirring as I go. And it's already starting to bubble up and thicken. Oh my gosh, that smells incredible. Usually whenever I make any kind of cheese soup, it's kind of a broccoli cheese situation, and it's usually for kids. So I haven't necessarily always thought to add a bottle of beer. But hey, the kids are grown and gone. I can add whatever I want to whatever recipe I'm making. All right, this mixture is really thick by now. So I'm going to add a bunch of chicken stock. Just slosh it right in. And in addition to the broth, I'm gonna add some cream. This is definitely not a soup you wanna make on the weeks you're trying to watch your calories. All right, stir that together. Oh, it still smells incredible. Add quite a bit of salt and a lot of pepper. I tell you, I don't really know the difference between this soup and beer and cheese fondue. It's very, very cheesy and very wonderful. Okay, now I just need to let it come to a boil. I'll stir it occasionally, and that's gonna take about 5 minutes. All right, the soup came to a boil. It almost boiled over the pot. I saved it just in time, and it is just the right consistency. Now it is time for the cheese. We've got the beer covered, and I have a big pile of sharp cheddar, and I like to just add about a handful at a time and stir it as I go. And obviously, this soup is so hot, it is not going to take long for this to melt. I really just love the combination of beer and cheddar, but of course, you could just use this as a blank canvas and add whatever cheese you like. It's also a really great way to use up little end pieces of cheese that might be sort of languishing in your cheese drawer. But I really love just cheddar. It's sort of that classic flavor. All right, I'm gonna save some to serve over the top of the bowl. I can't believe how quickly this comes together. And you can omit the sausage, or you could do bacon instead. You could do ham. It's a great way to use up kind of leftover ham after a holiday. I'm gonna stop stirring and I'm gonna start serving. Starts with a great big serving of the soup. I started with a pretty big bowl, so fortunately I have to add quite a bit to make it count. Okay, you could also serve this in a bread bowl. That would be incredible. To me, part of the fun of a soup like this is adding toppings. So I have some sour cream. I'll just add a little dollop and it'll just mix in with the soup as I eat it. Some green onions, delicious. And I'm gonna add another little sprinkle of black pepper because I think it'll look good and taste good. And then a little more cheddar. And finally, we cannot forget the kielbasa. Just kind of throw a little in the middle, and just like the sour cream, it'll just get mixed with everything else. All right. I'm not a beer drinker, but I might need to start keeping beer in my fridge just for beer and cheese soup like this. Goodness gracious, this looks good. It smells good. I'm getting ready to go in so I can confirm that it tastes good. Confirmed.
My thrifty and tasty cumin rub chicken noodle soup.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Very simple. I've got 4 chicken thighs here because it's a family of 4. That's all you're gonna get. 1 chicken thigh per person.
Oh.
Okay. Hey. I'm gonna fill it up with other things. All right.
Okay.
Relax.
It's like when you go to the bar, do you only order 4 wings?
No, but that's a whole other conversation about the wings. I need the tip. There's 3 parts, whatever. Okay, so in my pot here, a little bit of olive oil. I have already seasoned on all sides of my thighs that have the skin on and bone in, salt, pepper, and cumin, okay? All over, and I'm rendering the fat from the skin out of them right now. Now, I'm just searing and rendering, okay?
By the way, did you know that cumin is the most commonly found spice in American spice drawers?
Oh.
You know, yeah, I heard that the other day. That's
What about
crazy.
salt?
Well, that's a
Is it
seasoning.
spice? Yeah.
I mean, it's a
The
salt is a
seasoning
salt.
and
I
add
never
it,
thought cumin would be.
Yeah, number
I
1.
could see it. It's interesting. Not Hungarian paprika.
No, can you believe it?
All right, so in this pot right here, and when this gets nice and cool, just rip off the skin and eat it.
I was gonna say.
Because it's delicious. All right, so in the pot here with that rendered fat and a little bit of olive oil, 1 jalapeno, seeds in or seeds out, doesn't matter. It just depends on how hot you want it. Obviously, seeds in is warmer than everything else. And to me, jalapenos and cumin, let's do it, you know? Reminds me of Tex-Mex.
I like the way you're scraping all those chickeny bits off
That's
the
right,
bottom.
girlfriend, you gotta get that. Y'all call it
an
frond and stuff
organic
like that. I call
jalapeno?
it, I'm not doing the
Expensive?
dishes later, you know what I'm saying?
It's true.
What'd you say, GZ?
Is that organic jalapeno?
Excuse me? No, this is the inexpensive jalapeno, okay?
She's trying to bump up the price.
Yeah,
here.
I know you are. All right, so from your freezer section, pearl onions that are already peeled. While they're frozen, just run a knife through them so they're in half.
We get 1 each?
No, look, nice little handful here. Listen, you know, usually when you make a soup, you're gonna do like the mirepoix, and it's onions and
that's a soup. You
carrots
have
and
to have
celery.
carrots.
We don't have money for that,
Yeah,
okay?
should I? Oh, you're not using any of that in your chicken soup.
No, we just want the onion and the jalapeno flavor, okay?
You're playing to win. You're
I'm
saving
playing
us
to win
money, but you are
for
building
my
a lot.
belly and my pocket. All right, so Alex, when that's enough, like you can handle it, just pull the skin off of it for me, because I'm gonna put those thighs back in,
Okay.
to my finished pot. So look here, I'm just, you know, translucent color, fabulous. But yeah, you see it, GZ? Inexpensive cooking right here. You know what I'm saying?
Is Alex charging for her labor?
No, that would be so expensive.
You better believe it.
So another money-saving store-bought shortcut is sofrito. Okay, do you know what sofrito
Yes.
is?
Yes.
So it's onions and garlic and cilantro and so many different flavors that it's excellent if you're cooking without your mirepoix, but you still want a nice base flavor. So
It
I
is a
say,
mirepoix. It's ground up.
get your jar. You can also get it in the freezer section, but I've already done the math, and getting it in the jar is a lot less expensive, okay? Move that around.
All joking aside, you are building a lot of layers of flavor.
That's right.
Don't encourage
That's right. Give me the love, Jeff. Give me the love.
Guess what, man? We're about making it delicious at the
Okay.
end of the day, Jeffrey.
So,
okay? All right, buddy?
As that is bubbling and cooking, instead of having, you know, all of that space taken up in my pantry with those cards of stock now. In my fridge, I like this little tiny jar of soup base. You scoop it out. There's so much salt in it, so I suggest don't add a lot of salt as you're cooking and give this a taste after you add the liquid. So I put that soup base in here. I'm going to add in
That's
some
spring water?
No, it's not spring water. It's tap. It's New York City tap.
That's tap
Most
stock.
delicious
Cheapest ingredient
water.
on the planet. So
That's
underrated.
right, it is.
Oh,
We're gonna
boy.
get
There we go.
our thighs back in. Bone on, everything. Remember, we just seared them. Salt, pepper, cumin, olive oil in that pot. Take the skin off, have fun with it, eat it, whatever, whatever, whatever. This is going to simmer and cook. You can cover it or leave it open for about 15 to 20 minutes. And then right before you're done, you're gonna add in some egg noodles. Very inexpensive. You can get broad or thin. I like the thin ones better for soup. Pour it in. And here we go.
Yum.
We're not done yet.
So homey.
I'm gonna take your cilantro.
Oh, that's
that you've
$10
nicely
at least.
chopped up for me. I should have just said I got it from my backyard. It cost me nothing.
That's not fair.
Or you could buy a plant.
Yeah. And then you just come in here, move this
Beautiful.
around. And in my old neighborhood in Brooklyn, when you'd go get some soup or something to eat, they'd always serve it con hueso,
What?
Oh,
with the bone.
yeah,
Boy,
really.
I like
Let
it
you
like
know it's home cooked.
I
So
must say, I
con
like it like that.
hueso.
Oh, that's fun.
I love
Put that in there for you.
Very homey.
And it's okay to get your hands in there or your fork and knife, Jeezy, if I pass this your way.
Gotta have a
and
fork
make it pop.
Okay, great appetizer. Onto the
It's
entree.
not an appetizer, okay?
Ah! This costs, it's like $10 for 40 people.
I don't know. The wizards back there told us how much, and I just...
$10 for 40 people.
Okay, Alex, here we go for you.
Yum.
And I'm gonna go see how much this is at the register. I'm so nervous.
Yum. So good.
Jeezy is in the lead with $14.93 for his family of 4 with his expensive egg omelet. Let's see if my chicken noodle soup is cheaper.
Oh, jeez, I saw it.
Ah, yeah, baby! Yeah! $7.38. I dare you to try and beat me. This is what it looks like when I'm winning, Alex. This is what it looks like.
You asked. You got it, Alex. Be
I'm gonna
careful.
take the stairs out of here.
Who's next? Hey, Katie's making ketchup packets, I think. That's what she's making. She better be.
Katie's
She's
just gonna
dipping
come
into
out
the
here.
junk drawer. All right, in all seriousness, congratulations. But look at that. This is, I was joking, this is definitely a meal in a bowl, right? It is so good. It's a perfect spice level. And I love that con huisado, right on the bone still. You can pick around it. Does make it feel in taste and chew even heartier than a regular chicken noodle soup. Perfect amount of spice. Great chew to the egg noodles, right? Little herbs at the end. This is delicious. I taste the cumin and all the spice in there.
It is no surprise that you all love to make soup in the fall. And the most searched soup recipe on foodnetwork.com is
Clam chowder.
Tomato soup.
no butternut squash.
What?
Yes, and we have our resident specialist on butternut squash, Katie. How do you make this classic sing?
I just love soup, especially in the fall. It just warms you up. And this is a real fail-proof recipe, and it's delicious. I'm gonna show you how to do this butternut squash soup. Jeff, you're gonna help me out here. So if you can just take that apple, cut it off the core, make it into about 6 big slices.
Okay.
Same with this, just cut it in some slices.
Got it.
We're gonna roast all of these ingredients first. So I've got about 2.5 pounds of butternut squash here cubed up. It's 4 cups. You can buy this already cubed if
Yes,
you want to,
so much easier.
cut down. It's so much easier. Or you can do it yourself if you want to break down a butternut squash. I put it all right on the tray.
Just like that?
And just like
And
that.
the onion too, just kind of
Onion goes on there too. And in the meantime, I've got 4 cups of chicken broth over here simmering. And I made this little herb sachet with some thyme and a bay leaf and a clove of garlic in here. And I just let that simmer for about 10 minutes and it kind of blooms all that flavor in there. It's just a cheesecloth with a little kitchen twine. You don't have to do that. You can throw it all in there and then fish it out if you don't have any cheesecloth. So onto this pan, I put a nice generous amount of olive oil.
So I'm just gonna do a little salt and pepper on here.
I love the addition of the apple, too. Kind of bring out sweetness of
sweeten it
the
up.
butternut.
Yeah, it sweetens it up. And this way, you know, you don't have to be sauteing the onions or anything like that. You just put it all on the sheet pan and let the oven do the work for you.
And zero stovetop mess, too. Zero matter.
Yep.
Sheet.
All right, so this goes into the oven, 400 degrees for about 45 minutes.
Earlier I said you matched a pumpkin, but now I changed my mind. You matched the butternut squash.
Yes, you're right. I planned it. Okay, so it comes out like this, nice and pretty.
Beautiful color.
And then you just go over here to your chicken broth and put it right in.
You know, you can add some like ginger to that too.
You totally could.
Easy.
You can really play around with
I'm
this.
thinking carrots. Is
Yeah,
that
I
what
would-
made you do that?
You could
I don't know,
kind of, you could also, you know, add a little silky element to it by adding some pistachio pudding in there if you want, too. It's never too old. And guess what? We can make this green using my spinach puree. I'm just saying. Killer idea.
Okay, I'm gonna season with a little bit more salt and pepper. And then this just needs to simmer for about 20 minutes. The veggies are already cooked, but that way they get into the flavor of the chicken broth. Now, Jeff, I'm gonna ask you to help me again. Come down here.
Okay.
We're gonna fish out our little sachet. Now you can use that immersion blender. Here, I got a little plate right
Get
here.
a sachet plate. I didn't know you had that.
Use an immersion blender
Oh, you want me to
to
immerse
blend
it?
it up.
The best tool
Now-
in the kitchen.
It is the best.
It's such an easy tool. You don't have to, you know, put it
Transfer,
into
no.
the blender and do the transfer. If you don't have one of these, though, use your blender.
What I love about squash soups is it freezes amazing. So when you want, you know, a cold day, just
You're
pull
right.
it out and you're ready.
You could vegan this out with vegetable stock instead of chicken stock.
Yeah, you can totally use vegetable stock for this as well.
I like pork jowl in it. Well,
I do.
You
It would
like
be good,
pork
though.
chop.
Little salt pork, a little
All
smoky
right, so
pork
to
in there.
serve this, what I did was I got this pretty little pumpkin here at the patch, and I hollowed it out, and we're gonna use this for the soup. How's it going over there?
I think we're just about perf right
Okay.
now because I am the immersion king.
All right, Immersion King, well, take that soup and pour it right in here.
Here we go. You ready?
oh,
The
Ready.
old butternut cascade.
This is perfect for a party. And you see how easy that soup was? It doesn't
simple.
get any simpler than that. There we go. There's our cauldron. Got my little ladle into the bowl.
Ooh, man, it smells good from here.
Frankenstein's ladle?
It is. It's Frankenstein's ladle. Then you can just put your top back on the soup to keep it warm. And then, to make this a little spookier, I've got some sour cream here in my squeeze bottle. I'm gonna make a spider web. Now you take a little skewer and use the back end and just go through it.
Oh, man. That
Oh, you're
is
the
that.
soup barista.
And it's a little spider web, just like that.
Wowie
okay.
kazowie.
Jeff, would you like
Yes,
to do
I
the
would like to
honors?
try because
Let me know
All right.
what you think of that.
Break it. Break the spider.
it's so
you
pretty.
There might be spiders around.
How did I know, man? Headbutt you, punk. Would you say?
We are a high budget
That was.
show here.
All right, I'm gonna try this finally. It's so pure. It's the essence of the butternut squash is here. Creaminess on top. You know what the secret ingredients is? It's that apple. It's funky. It's a little tart. It's awesome. It's beautiful. It doesn't get more French than this. It even has French in the name. It's cozy. It's so hugging. It's on every bistro menu in the world. This is my classic French onion soup.
Yes.
Of course,
Oui.
Chef.
Katie,
Yes.
my sous chef, you're gonna get one of the most important components of this dish is the baguette.
Boom.
Tell me, is that baguette fresh
It is.
and
It's
hot?
warm.
It is warm.
Still.
All right, you can
Nice
use
hand.
stale baguette. That's fine. But I love
On a
starting with
bias,
fresh bread
or-
because it's a kind of subtle bias. And we're gonna
Subtle
plate it
bias.
with a tremendous amount of oil for that. A little thinner than that, if you don't mind. And then both ends, and we're gonna stick it in the oven for, a little bit till it's nice and golden and toasty, okay? That's easy breezy. We're going with that. Now let's go with the onions here. Nice white onion, okay? Nothing too sweet, just a nice utility onion, holds its shape, caramelizes well, and that's what this recipe is all about. slow, low caramelization of these beautiful, naturally sweet onions. All right, so what we did was peel it, have it this way, right? So you get this kind of French cut, some might say, of an onion. This kind of holds its shape. We've talked about it. Not too thin, not too thick. And we're gonna cut it kind of pole to pole after cutting it through the equator.
Okay, you gonna longitude it.
Yeah, longitude,
After
latitude.
you latituded it.
And then we're gonna top-down cuts from the tip to the stem, okay? The root to the stem. Now we have this big bowl of onions. We have a large enameled cast iron Dutch oven here ready to go. The biggest, the most robust pan you have. This is when you use it. 4 tablespoons of butter. Melting it nice. Got my wooden spoon here. And we are going to add these onions. Okay, about a pound of onions in there, and this will cook down tremendously. To this, we're gonna add some salt, a little kosher salt, not too much, just to kind of lightly help start weeping it all out. But again, salt is the enemy of caramelization because it draws out all that moisture. And we wanna really focus on developing the sugars in these onions. And to help kind of expedite that process, give it a little extra, just a little, couple pinches of sugar with the onions.
Controversial.
All right. All right, next, we let this go for about 45 minutes. Could take longer, could take less. When you are caramelizing your onions, you do not want to disturb it too much, but if you open the pot and you see a lot of the, tasty bits, the fond sticking to the bottom of the pan, keep a little water, give it a little splash of water, and with your wooden spoon so we can get some. And people neglect that kind of what I like to call side fond or wall fond that creeps up the side of the pot. That's all flavor too. Don't neglect that. That's what we're looking for. Like that's the color.
Don't, you gotta let it go. People are, they get anxious.
They get antsy.
Would you put that broth in there?
It's over.
Yeah.
There's zero more caramelization.
Yeah.
Once you start like deglazing too much through the process, it really does kind of slow down the process as well. And we want to embody the spirit of this soup, which is flavor and technique and a little bit of sherry.
Do it.
Help deglaze it towards the end, right? And you scrape up all that stuff on the bottom. Turn up this a little bit. Now we can start adding, we got some warm stock here, and for some herbs, we got a bay leaf and a bundle or a sachet
Excuse
of
me?
fresh thyme.
It's a bouquet garni.
A bouquet garni.
Voilà, c'est ça.
A sachet is in cheesecloth usually, so
Correct,
you are
Amanda.
correct that we get a little bit, but it's easier to pick out. It's not just for looking pretty. It's for function too.
Just like you, Jeff.
Very nice. Nobody's like, that guy's pretty. Nobody said that about me.
Jokes.
Even with the neckerchief? So again, we want to kind of cook out that alcohol, let this intensify, let all those
Smell it.
onions soak up that sherry. Next, some warm beef stock. Look at that. Boom.
Same thing.
Right? I should have poured it from the side. Like,
Yeah, like
I was
the
getting some
water-
ice water at the saloon. So we're gonna let this come up to a simmer. Look how simple this is, right?
Simple.
It's all time and technique and cutting the onions right, just putting enough of everything, not too much of everything in there. And what we're left with after about another 30, 40 minutes is the base of a great French onion soup. What we want to do
gorgeous.
is fish out,
Le bouquet garni.
into the le bowl. All right, this is ready to go. Katie, I will bring the horse to the water, if you will.
Okay.
And our toasts are a little done, a little
Toasted.
crostini there. I like to give a little kind of centripetal stir here so I can scoop up and get an even ratio of broth to onion.
Oh, that's a good one.
You know what I mean? Instead of just like
'cause
dipping
sometimes
from
I'll
the
just go in
bottom.
and get the glop of onion and then go in there for some little liquid. That's very smart, Jeff. We'll
want
get a little
this.
swirl.
A little swirly. And I like to go fairly to the top because, again, the cheese. I think the onions are the true star of this, but man, we want to structurally build this, so you might need a little more in there. These are big old crocks, but you need the handle on here.
Yeah.
You can use a ramekin at home. You can use like an oven-safe bowl. Or I'm sure you can find these online.
It's kind of like a
very-
Moscow mule. You need the vessel.
You need the vessel,
Yeah,
right?
just to
One
feel
of those
like you're
things
doing
that
it.
like
Yeah.
you find on sale, and when you find it, buy it.
Yep.
Even if you're not planning on making the French onion soup right away, just buy it.
There's also a certain.
I also put like cheese sauces in there. Like
Yeah.
I do nacho sauce, like individual nacho sauce. You
Oh,
can
that's a good
reuse
idea.
those French
I think there's a
onion
look to French onion soup that's almost as important as the actual soup.
Yeah.
It's got to look like He's gonna do it. I know what he's gonna do.
Oh, you know. I mean,
You gotta
smell of
complete
the
it. You
sherry.
can't
Yeah,
like
the
half.
mess on the
half-
edge.
Yeah, you can't do it half baked.
Hey, now, we're going to full bake
Oh
these.
yeah, there we go.
Throw
Look at
a
this.
couple croutons
Really
on the
important
top,
right here.
Do it.
Right? Without submerging like that. That guy went for a dip. I'm going to change him out. I did not. He just ate. You got to wait an hour.
Hey, I don't
Boom.
blame him. He wanted to get in there in that soup.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, Jeff.
I got to do 2 sheets.
Oh,
to.
it's
You
got
have
to
to.
have
I
a
gotta do
thick
two.
layer of cheese
You
on
need it.
there.
Right on there.
It's a must.
So
What kind of cheese?
Anybody want to guess?
Gruyere.
Of course. You could substitute nothing. Gruyere is available everywhere, right? The deli slice or the sheets of it that come pre-shingled, if you will. Totally worth it because it's going to make your life easier and an even melt, which, let's check on these, huh?
Where do you put it? What kind of oven? Why?
So we are going to put it on a sheet pan.
Yeah.
As many bowls as you need at a time. Don't just loosey-goosey this to the oven, okay? You want to keep it on a sheet. I'm going to need another rag. Give me that, man. I thought I was going to be all swollen showing off for you guys, but this is a two-handed job. You'll see why. Oh, meh, oh.
Bon Dieu.
That is it. That's the promise.
Yeah.
Look at that. I'm just going to.
Wow.
Look at that. Look at that. Maybe, I don't want to, man, there's no more room. I have all the
Here.
pots going. Thank you very much, Katie. But look at this. This is what we wanted.
Mon Dieu. That smell.
That's Italian. No, kidding.
That's amore.
That's amore.
This is a soup that makes you want to,
Smile.
well, yeah, and pull out a fork, too. You know what I mean?
Yes, you got to get in there. And
Yeah.
Again,
here's you guys.
Cote de Rhone, red wine, Burgundy, must
yeah.
have.
Done, right?
I
All
like that
day.
you're our sommelier, you know what I mean?
Yeah, how I
Let
got
us
Cote de
know.
Rhone with this. I like to try the broth
Simple.
first.
I mean,
Yeah, I like exactly what I did. I tried to get the cheese, the bread, the broth.
I feel like
you know.
I'm at Cafe Fleur, sitting there in Saint Germain, watching the world go by.
just this classic French onion soup. Très délicieux.
Mais oui.
So I've got a pot with some butter, and I actually heated it until it got to the brown stage. And I'm gonna add some onions. And then I have a bowl full of root veggies that I peeled and chopped. Carrots, parsnips, turnips, and rutabagas. And then some ginger and garlic, whole garlic cloves. And then I'm gonna stir these around just to coat them. I'm not gonna have to cook them at this stage. I just wanna kind of get the veggies coated in that delicious brown butter mixture. Sprinkle some salt and pepper. Perfect, and now I'm gonna add the broth. I've got 2 big honkin' cartons of chicken broth. You can also use veggie broth if you wanna keep it truly vegetarian. 2 spices, I've got some allspice and ground coriander, sprig of thyme. Stir all of this together. All right, now I'm just gonna bring it to a quick boil, and then I'll turn it down to a simmer, put the lid on, and let it cook for 20 minutes until the vegetables are totally soft. Okay, the soup has been simmering. It's just about ready to puree, but first I'm gonna fry some shallots that I'm gonna use to serve over the top of the soup. So I've just got some vegetable oil and very thinly sliced shallots. I peeled the shallots and sliced them. And now I'm just gonna fry them in vegetable oil until they're golden brown, and then I'll take them out of the oil and drain them on a paper towel. Look at these beautiful fried shallots. Absolutely incredible topper for soup. All those vegetables have been cooking away, and I'm glad I did that because I'm gonna pull out the thyme. It has done its job. So I'm gonna turn off the stove, and I'm gonna puree the soup. Now, you don't have to puree it. You can keep it pretty chunky, but in the fall, I just love pureed vegetable soups. In the fall, I just love any soup, to be honest. And look at the color of this soup now. So pretty.
That's so pretty.
And look, I love this. Every now and then you get like a chunk of carrot that got missed. But it's kind of like a little treasure hunt that way. And this soup is pretty rich and filling, so a little goes a long way. Okay, so speaking of garnish, I'm gonna get some of these beautiful shallots. Take a look, Paige. And the great thing about shallots is they're so light and like thin and lightweight that they just kind of hover on top. And then I've got some beautiful parsley. Alrighty, very veggie soup with fried shallots on top. A few more would be nice.
So one of the things I always love to do, as I say often, is I like to take a classic recipe and update it, make it a little more modern, give it much more flavor. Everybody knows vichyssoise, which is French potato leek soup, but it's not that exciting. So I thought it'd be great if I could roast the potatoes, roast the leeks all together so they're sort of caramelized. They had lots of other ingredients. So I've got 2 pounds of Yukon Gold potatoes peeled, and I've got these huge leeks. I need about 4 cups of diced leeks. And the thing with leeks is you always want to make sure there's no sand in them. There's absolutely no point in making soup if it's filled with sand. So what I do is I just slice it right down the middle, and then I'm going to take it over to the sink and run it under the water, both of them. Okay, those aren't so bad. Now I'm going to give them that big chop and roast them with potatoes. So I'm going to take off all the green parts. They can be a little tough, and leave the light green and white parts. Okay, now just dice them up. Remember, I'm going to be roasting these, and then I'm going to make soup out of it. So it doesn't matter that they're perfectly diced. It matters that they're delicious. Okay, onto a roasting pan. Potatoes and the leeks. Okay, olive oil. Can't roast without olive oil. Good olive oil. I use California olive oil. Okay, lots of salt and pepper. Make sure it has great flavor. I'm going to roast this at 400 degrees for about 40 to 45 minutes, just until the potatoes are really nice and tender. And then I'm going to add some arugula. After it's roasted for 40 to 45 minutes, I'm going to add about 3 cups of arugula. It's got a really nice peppery flavor. I'm going to put it back in the oven for 5 minutes until the arugula just wilts, and it just adds that extra depth of flavor that I'm looking for. Now what I'm going to do is add a little bit of white wine, about 1/2 cup, to the pan, just to scrape off all those brown bits that give a sauce so much flavor, and I'm going to make sure it gives the soup lots of flavor. And it gets absorbed in the potato. I'm just going to give it lots of great flavor. Okay, that's all done. So I'm just going to take it and put it in the food processor. What I'm looking for is a soup that's smooth but has some texture. So I'm just going to pour that half in. I'll have to do it in 2 batches. These vegetables smell fantastic. So I'm just going to add some chicken stock. I'm going to use about 5 cups total, just enough to blend this. I want it coarse but chunky. Fantastic. Okay, into the pot, then I'm going to finish blending the rest. Okay, so that's the puree. Now I'm going to make it into soup. Just turn it on low heat. I'm going to add a little more chicken stock. It's about 5 cups total, but just enough until it's the right consistency. You want it thick, but not, you don't want it to taste like a vegetable. You want it to taste like soup. So just whisk it in. It's pretty thick. A lot depends on how much starch is in the potatoes. I'm going to add a little cream. And since it's a French soup, I'm going to add a little creme fraiche. So about 3/4 cup of cream, just to give it a nice richness. And then 8 ounces of creme fraiche, which gives it a little sour, sort of tart flavor. This is going to be wonderful. Just plain cream, a little creme fraiche, adds a sort of sourness to it, which is great. This is really nice. It's got a nice texture. It's clearly soup. It's not a cream vegetable. A little more salt always brings out the extra flavor. This is a rustic soup. It's going to look so fantastic on the table setting Biegel did earlier. I love that combination of elegant and earthy together. I thought it'd be great to contrast the texture of the creamy soup with something crispy like these crispy shallots. Here's how you do them. Just add 1.5 cups of light olive oil to a saucepan with 3 tablespoons of butter. Put it in the thermometer and turn the heat on medium-low. Meantime, slice 6 shallots in thin rings. You want crispy? You've got to have thin rings. When the oil and butter reach 220 degrees, you're all ready. So turn the heat to low and add the shallots. They'll take about 30 to 40 minutes to cook. Keep the temperature below 260 degrees so they don't burn. When they're golden brown, take them out with a slotted spoon and spread them onto paper towels to dry. Once the shallots are fried, just store them at room temperature. These are going to be so delicious, sprinkled over the leek and potato soup. The soup gets ladled into bowls, and the finishing touches, extra Parmesan cheese and those fabulous crispy shallots. It's so beautiful and no airbrushing needed.